I want to reassure Nigerians today that our determination, our commitment to bringing an end to the reign of terror in Nigeria remains irrevocable.
IGP's renewed efforts to sanitize Abuja-Kaduna highway paying off. Notorious criminals apprehended by the police.
The whole essence of constitutional and alteration effort by the National Assembly has always been to strengthen the institutions of democracy, promote good governance, and hasten national development.
Experts brainstorm on modalities for financial autonomy of state legislature and the judiciary.
On behalf of the Senate, let me congratulate the Governor of the Central Bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, on the renewal of his appointment.
Senate confirms Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele for another term in office as Minister of Finance gives account of stewardship. And President Muhammadu Buhari embarks on journey of faith, arrives in Saudi Arabia for Lesser Hajj. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. I am Cyril Stober in Abuja. Also reading with me tonight is Hingino John Adams in Lagos and Kemi Oshin in our Ibadan Network Center. Members of the Federal Executive Council held a closed-door meeting at the State House, Abuja. The meeting deliberated on issues of national importance aimed at stimulating growth and development of the country. It was presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. The meeting ended about an hour ago. President Muhammadu Buhari has set up a committee tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that the financial autonomy of the state legislature and judiciary is implemented in the 36 states of the Federation. To this end, a two-day retreat has commenced to officially kickstart the committee's assignment. Abdul Karim Mohammed Zurmi has the report.
Nigeria has been clamoring for financial autonomy for both legislature and judiciary to enhance efficiency and service delivery in lawmaking and quick dispensation of justice by both arms of government for the benefit of citizens. The two-day retreat is setting in motion a roadmap towards implementation of the initiative, with the committee having been inaugurated.
The whole essence of constitutional and alteration effort by the National Assembly has always been to strengthen the institutions of democracy, promote good governance, and hasten national development.
Any amount standing to the credit of the judiciary in the consolidated revenue fund of the Federation shall be paid directly to the National Judicial Council for disbursement to heads of court established for the Federation and the state under Section 6 of this Constitution.
The program is also part of the efforts by President Buhari's administration to bring about transparency in governance and curb corruption in the public sector.
Unfortunately, only a few clauses of what National Assembly passed were assented to by the President. But this is very critical in terms of strengthening our democracy, that the legislature is able to function as an independent arm of government, able to moderate the excesses of the executive, particularly at the state level, where the development of the government and the transparency of government is very, very limited.
The retreat is expected to x-ray various topics, including the role of the executive arm in strengthening the financial autonomy of state legislature and judiciary in Nigeria. In Abuja, Abdul Karim Mohammed Zurmi, NTA News.
All right, I'm being joined now by Senator Ita Inang as the Secretary of the Presidential Committee on the Autonomy of the State Legislature and Judiciary. And as we know, he's a Senior Special Assistant to the President of National Assembly Matters, the Senate. Thanks for being with us here.
Thank you very much.
Right, what does this committee hope to achieve?
What we hope to achieve is to ensure that there is allocation, or that the funds allocated to the judiciary goes to the judiciary and it is spent by the judiciary, not that it goes in the name of the judiciary and it is spent for the judiciary by another person. It is also intended that monies that are meant for the legislature goes to the legislature, and the legislature does not go cap in hand begging the executive for money. What we've done today, and we're continuing and concluding tomorrow in this retreat, is to look at the modalities for the implementation in such a manner that when the money goes into the account of the state, the budget of the state would have stated the amount that the legislature is entitled and the amount that the judiciary is entitled. And while the money for the executive goes to the executive, the same date, time, and minutes, the money of the judiciary also goes to the head of the courts, and the money of the legislature also goes to the head of the legislature. Not as it is now, that when it comes, the recurrent will go to the judiciary, then the capital will be kept by either the Commissioner for Finance or the Secretary to State Government or the Minister of Finance or the Commissioner for Works. And when there is a need to repair the car of a judge, they will go to the governor to seek approval. That's the kind of thing that we want to avoid.
If experience is anything to go by, even as we speak, there are still heated debates about the financial autonomy of local government. So what will you do differently to ensure that this does not end up like the question of autonomy for local governments that's still been debated till date?
The autonomy of local government is being hindered by the Constitution, by the amendment of the Constitution. But the autonomy of the legislature and the judiciary, the Constitution has been amended to make sure it is done. And it is because the Constitution has been amended and it wasn't done, that is why Mr. President set up this committee to ensure implementation. But for today, the autonomy of the local government is being ensured and guaranteed because the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Agency is working with the appropriate financial authorities to ensure that from June, the monies of the local government goes directly to the accounts of the local governments.
All right, that's for some other time we'll talk about it. But for this committee, how can you be certain? How do you ensure that it will be done just as you have proposed to?
I think we've been given a lot of assurance today because today we're very elated because of the 36 state houses of assembly, 31 were present in person, and the other 5 were represented, 31 speakers. Then of the 36 state chief judges, including the acting chief judges, 33 of them were present in person. Then the governors were represented by His Excellency, the governor of Bauchi State, Emir Abubakar, the man we like to call the quintessential barman. He made a commitment on behalf of the Governors Forum that they will abide by it. Then there is the concluding part of what we've done is to look at the fact that the Constitution says that the money that is meant for the judiciary shall be released to the National Judicial Council, and in the case of the judiciary of the state, it shall go to the heads of the court in the state. Okay. So we are exploring this direct allocation to the
judiciary. We'll have to leave it there for this time. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In other news, the Senate has confirmed the reappointment of Godwin Emefiele as governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that Emefiele is to serve for another term of 5 years.
On Thursday, 9th of May 2019, Senate received executive communication requesting the confirmation of the renewal of Godwin Emefiele's appointment as governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. 5 days after, Senate referred the request to its Committee on Banking for screening. A day after the referral, Godwin Emefiele was screened and the report of the exercise was presented at plenary and considered. Chairman of the committee, Rafiu Adebayo, presented the report, which described the central bank governor as an experienced financial expert who performed his first term creditably.
The nominee has more than 32 years of banking experience with outstanding performance in all positions he occupied. That the nominee understands the diverse economic nature of the country, he is qualified for the position of the governor of the central bank for another term in which he has been nominated by Mr. President.
On behalf of the Senate, let me congratulate the governor of the central bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, on the renewal of his appointment. We wish him a useful 5 years and we'll use the opportunity to continue to provide support to ensure that the economy of our country continues to improve and address the most important area of ensuring the macroeconomic stability.
Godwin Emefiele is the 4th governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria from 1999 and the only CBN governor to be reappointed for a second time within the period. Also at Thursday's plenary, Senate considered and approved the report of its committee on promissory note program and bond issuance to settle inherited debts and contractual obligations to states, which also recommended that Bauchi State be reimbursed 14.6 billion naira. Senate leader Ahmed Lawan advised the Senate.
It will behoove the Senate to also pass and approve for Kogi State.
Senate has passed the 2018 budget of the Nigerian Communications Commission of 218.7 billion naira as presented by the chairman, Senate Committee on Communication, Senator Gilbert Nnaji. That of the Universal Service Provision Fund of 15.1 billion was also passed. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The federal government says it has recorded gains in its quest to improve revenue to GDP ratio in the last 4 years as it begins to wind down activities of the present administration. Leah Katumba Batunde reports that the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, disclosed that government has grown taxpayers' base from 12 to 35 million as reforms continue to yield the desired results.
It is countdown to the end of an era, and the Federal Ministry of Finance, along with the agencies that are accountable to her and the Nigerian people, have been given a breakdown of steps they have taken in the last 4 years and how they had steered the affairs of the economy also in the last 4 years. Now the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, is telling Nigerians that revenue indeed has been a source of concern for the Nigerian government. Now this is because at the inception of this administration, all prices were not at a favorable position. And also Nigeria was bedeviled by a poor savings culture along with a huge infrastructure deficit.
In 2018, budgeted revenue was 7.2 trillion. And this is against the actual figure that was realized of 3.96 trillion, signifying a negative variance of 45%. But despite that, we were able to meet salaries 100%, debt service 100%. As at 14th of May 2019, we have been able to release against the 2018 budget 2.079 trillion naira for capital expenditures.
Nigeria's debt burden is actually not going anywhere soon. Now, this is because the federal government is still borrowing, but this time around at a higher tenure by as much as 30 years repayment plan.
We are in the process of issuing the second green bond, this time around for 15 billion naira. This second bond will be to finance various projects in the agricultural sector, as well as in the power sector, in the health sector, and as well as the water sector.
In the next coming months, we're going to be witnessing a lot of investment in human capital as Nigeria is still expressing concerns over the inability of the population growth to tally with economic growth. Leah Katumba Batunde, NTA News.
And it has now been confirmed that Nigeria exports cement, and this is one out of many success stories in the revamped solid minerals sector in the country. Minister of State Mines and Steel Development, Abubakar Buhari, confirmed this in Abuja when a delegation from Morocco and from the private sector visited the ministry. Mia Ugidi reports.
Cranes rising high in different locations nationwide, all pointing downwards, prospecting and discovering more solid minerals. At the last count, they are 44, and the Minister of State Mines and Steel Development is also making foreign trips to market these resources. Just a fortnight ago, he was in Marrakesh, Morocco, for this purpose. Today, these investors from Morocco are in Nigeria to invest in the sector. This is an outcome of a memorandum of understanding entered into in Marrakesh by the two countries, and the development of phosphate and other mineral resources are the center of this pact.
Our president attached a lot of importance to his relationship with the King of Morocco, and we want to leverage on that relationship, your experience and so on, to be able to develop our own phosphates.
After hosting the delegation from Morocco, the Minister of Mines and Steel was engaged by another group, this time from the banking industry. After watching the sector from a distance and satisfied with the level of transparency, some chief executive officers of major financial institutions have declared to invest in the sector. For the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, this breakthrough comes with Nigeria's self-sufficiency in more fronts.
We are today self-sufficient in cement production and now exporting cement. We want to do the same thing in carbonate minerals so that we can address the issue of the pharmaceuticals, water treatment.
The Executive Secretary of the Solid Minerals Development Fund, Fatima Shinkrafi, more funding from the private sector will open more frontiers in the industry. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to addressing the challenges of fertilizer production and distribution through strategies and incentives that will drive the industry. A Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment disclosed this at the validation of the National Industrial Fertilizer Production Policy in Abuja. Muplang Dako reports.
The Economic Recovery and Growth Plan of the federal government identifies the fertilizer industry as one of the key sectors to drive agriculture for food sufficiency and for export, which is why stakeholders in the sector are authenticating a policy to strengthen the industry. They say, having the 7th largest gas reserves globally, the country is doing everything to be one of the largest production hubs for gas-related products such as fertilizer.
The development of this industrial fertilizer production policy is essential for increased productivity, creating jobs, boosting food security, and enhanced government industrialization drive.
Most of the, in oil extraction, the gas, associated gas is flared out. So we need a policy to be in place to encourage fertilizer production in this country. In that way, a framework is necessary on the production, on the investment, on the quality parameters, the transportation, and the distribution.
Stakeholders say they are ready to work with all key players in the sector and all ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure effective implementation of the policy on approval by the Federal Executive Council. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
And it's time for us to take our first break. The news returns shortly. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. President Muhammad Buhari is in Medina, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, in honor of the special invitation by King Salman Abdulaziz Al Saud. State House correspondent Adam Sambu, who is among the entourage of the Nigerian leader, reports that prayers for Nigeria took center stage.
President Muhammadu Buhari arrived Medina International Airport in the city of the Holy Prophet Muhammad at about 6 o'clock Thursday evening local time. On hand to receive him was a high-powered Saudi Arabian government delegation led by the Deputy Governor of Medina, Prince Saud bin Khalid Al Faisal. Also at the airport include Nigeria's ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Isa Muhammad Dudu, Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, and other personalities. This is the second time President Muhammadu Buhari is being invited to the kingdom by Saudi monarch in the last 3 years.
The king of Saudi Arabia, custodian of the two holy mosques, has a tradition of inviting key world Muslim leaders to visit at this time. And to be so selected, it's considered as the highest honor the Saudi kingdom can offer to a leader and to a nation. So actually this is an honor not only to President Muhammadu Buhari, to Nigeria as a nation. So really for any Muslim, whether a leader or a follower, this is the greatest honor that can be bestowed on anyone and on a nation. And we're quite pleased with this.
Shortly on arrival, President Muhammadu Buhari joined the Muslim Ummah at the Mosque of the Holy Prophet Muhammad in the heart of Medina to break his fast and observe the Maghrib prayers. This was at Rauda, the most revered section of the mosque, opened for him and his delegation as a mark of honor and respect. It was therefore an opportunity to pray fervently for Nigeria.
The president has been troubled over time by some of the challenges, new challenges, particularly as they relate to the security of the country. And the president, as do all other believers, yes, there is a sense that prayers will also help. Law enforcement is doing everything they can. Citizens are doing whatever they can, to ameliorate and combat the situation. But so we are taking our case to the Almighty in the hope that, especially at this time of the Ramadan, which is a very holy period for Muslims, that God Almighty will listen to Nigerians and would ease, our current national dispensation.
President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to depart Medina for Mecca on Friday to perform the Lesser Hajj at the Grand Kaaba. From Medina, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Back home here, the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, has advocated adequate funding for research and innovation, as well as the education of young Nigerians, especially the girl child. The Vice President, in his lecture at the Lagos State University 23rd Convocation Ceremony, said the nation is already reaping from the various innovation hubs in solving the challenges. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that the Vice President's lecture was titled African Centers of Excellence in African Universities, a veritable catalyst for nation building and development.
The African Center of Excellence is aimed at promoting regional specialization amongst universities in the participating countries within the West and Central Africa sub-region, and this is to address common regional development challenges and strengthen their capacities to deliver high-quality training and applied research. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo in this convocation lecture explains what the centers should do to achieve this and help African communities attain rapid growth.
A center of excellence must, by definition, be at the apex of the university system or the educational system, and must also be selective in its area of specialization. It must, of course, also be able to concentrate the best staff in its designated field and attract the financial resources that confer with operational autonomy and for the conduct of stellar research.
And for the graduates, the Vice President says no excuse for failure.
You are graduating at the most advanced moment in human history. The challenge for you, and for which I am confident you are prepared, is to make your own contribution, to make your own times better, now and in the future.
African governments, civil society, and private sector, as the Vice President observes, must fund and find solutions by research and innovation to the various developmental challenges. The African Centers of Excellence project was instituted in 2013 by the governments of Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Senegal, Cameroon, Republic of Benin, and Burkina Faso.
We can and will bring about development faster to our people through the enhancement of democratic consolidation in our countries and the choices that we make.
The world is looking up to these centers to deliver impact of development to Africa. The centers, therefore, must get it right.
Respected families, they look up to you. Your alma mater looks up to you. And the larger society looks up to you too. Do not disappoint us. Go out there and change the world.
Of the 22 African Centers of Excellence, there are 10 of them here in Nigeria, and one of them is situated right here at the Lagos State University. In Lagos, Jide Onifade, NT News.
And the federal government has proposed the establishment of a robust reward and recognition scheme for civil servants in the country. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, said the reward system is to serve as a motivational tool in developing an efficient, productive, incorruptible and citizen-centered culture in the Federal Civil Service. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday reports.
The civil service is known as the engine room of government, and over the years, some civil servants that have distinguished themselves at their duty posts have been recognized. But the federal government has proposed an expansion of the reward and recognition scheme in the civil service. Key players debated and adopted some motions leading to the adoption of the scheme. Represented by the Permanent Secretary, Service Welfare Office, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, said the system will help in accelerating the fulfillment of the 2017-2020 strategy and implementation plan. The service-wide ministries, departments and agencies, as well as departmental rewards and recognition scheme encapsulates the entire robust system.
And the composition of the selection committees are done in a fashion to ensure credibility, integrity, and professionalism in the selection of awardees.
Civil servants or public servants will be willing to work, will be very happy to work, and they will contribute their best towards attainment of Nigerian public service to be among the first 20 in the world by the year 2020.
It's a good step in the right direction, and we must give kudos to His Excellency, the Mr. President, for actually bringing this on board through the head of Civil Service of Federation.
It is expected that the reward system will assist in improving the level of productivity as well as attract, nurture, develop and retain the best employees in the service. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill for an act to establish the Southeast Development Commission. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the bill seeks to address development and environmental challenges of the region.
The Southeast Development Commission Establishment Bill, which was forwarded from the Senate for concurrence, elicited contrasting views from lawmakers, but was eventually passed and referred to the Committee of the Whole.
What applies to the Northeast should mutatis mutandis apply to the Southeast, because the circumstances are similar.
We know the issues, we know the history, we know yesterday, we know what is happening today.
Instead of having Southeast, Northwest, North Central, we should have what we call Nigerian Development Commission.
This is a bill from the Senate asking for our concurrence. But with due respect, I don't believe that we are an appendage of the Senate. We should look at bills on the total objective of the bills and act on them.
So I'm begging some of my colleagues to develop human conscience and support this bill. More so when the thing is not removing anything from your own state allocations.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it.
The lawmakers also passed for second reading a bill for an act to establish Federal Capital Territory Health Insurance Agency, which seeks to provide health insurance scheme for all residents of the FCT. Thursday's plenary considered and adopted the report of the House Committee on Telecommunications on the 2019 appropriation for the Nigerian Communications Commission.
The budget is for 218,792,000,000 naira, which part of it is for recurrent expenditure.
As the Committee of the Whole, the lawmakers approved recommendations on a bill for an act to abolish and prohibit dichotomy and discrimination between first degrees and higher national diplomas in the same profession. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Let's now join Hingino John Adams in Lagos for more reports. Hingino.
Thank you, Cyril, and welcome to the Center of Excellence. The increasing cases of accidents along Lagos-Ibadan Express and the expressway and the resultant gridlock have been attributed to indiscipline, reckless driving and non-compliance to traffic rules by motorists. Dotun Oguyemi, who visited the road where reconstruction works are still on, reports that stakeholders are calling for more consciousness by motorists to drive safely.
Daily, reported cases of broken down vehicles and trucks, as well as accidents resulting in traffic congestion along Nigeria's busiest route, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, has become a norm. The attitude of drivers who oftentimes drive against traffic, disobey traffic rules and drive vehicles that are not roadworthy are some factors that have led to unwanted loss of man-hours and, in the worst instance, impatience leading to deaths.
Of the 272 deaths we recorded last year, half of them were at construction zone. And of all the 380,000 vehicles that are in Ogun State, 40% of them are trucks.
Almost the entire stretch of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is a construction zone, as work is ongoing across different sections, while completed parts have been opened up to traffic. There is, however, a need for reorientation of drivers for seamless flow of traffic.
Basically, not to drive against traffic, and of course for people to maintain their vehicles, to ensure that their vehicles are well maintained. Not a vehicle you put on the road, before you reach how many kilometers the vehicle breaks down.
And at this junction where road reconstruction is still ongoing, stakeholders advocating that motorists maintain a 50 km/h speed limit to avoid cases of accidents and road crashes. In Lagos, Dotun Oguyemi, NTA News.
The 2019 Multina Teacher of the Year competition has kicked off. Prospective participants are expected to access the portal for online registration from May 16 to July 12. Paul Omukago completes the report.
Multina Teacher of the Year is an initiative of Nigerian breweries Felix Ohiwere Education Trust Fund. The competition, which started in 2015, aims to recognize and celebrate exceptional teachers in Nigeria. The 2019 edition, which is open to all teachers in public and private secondary schools nationwide, Corporate Affairs Director Shade Morgan stated, is quite innovative, particularly the introduction of That's One Teacher campaign on social media. It is for Nigerians to identify and choose one teacher, retired or serving, that has impacted their lives.
We expect that they will be able to share a number of things that they have done to impact the school that they teach in. So, for example, they need to be able to write on what is their philosophy, what is their strategy for teaching, what kind of innovation have they brought into the classroom.
2018 Multina Teacher of the Year winner, Opaefa, and others are the flag of command initiative.
It's very open, transparent, and devoid of any form of bias you can think of.
The level of cooperation is unequivocal. We want to assure you that we continue to collaborate and we continue to support this program.
I expect that the very best of teachers will be identified.
Interested participants are expected to visit www.multinanigeria.com for online registration, or alternatively pick up the form at Federal Ministry of Education, Nigerian Union of Teachers, and Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria offices nationwide. In Lagos, Paul Umukagu, NTA News.
This is NTA Network News. More reports after this commercial break. Please stay tuned.
Network News, let's go over to Ibadan and link up with Kemi Oshin for our next set of reports. Kemi.
State government spent over 45 billion on the funding of state-owned tertiary institutions in the last 7 years. The state governor, Abiola Ajimobi, stated inaugurating an ultra-modern school in Ibadan. Correspondent Ayomiko Ajibola has the details.
With more than 6 billion naira spent on the institution yearly, Governor Abdulaziz says the effort was to ensure access to quality and affordable tertiary education in Oyo State. His administration, according to him, had embarked on construction of world-class learning infrastructures across the state to fill the gap of infrastructural decay in education.
This administration has succeeded at repositioning all state tertiary institutions, setting them on a path of financial prudence for sustainable management and development.
He emphasized that the inauguration of modern school was another fulfillment of his administration electionary promises to the people. Governor Abela Ajimabi also inaugurated the reconstructed Efoshete New Garage Road and renamed it after the state former governor, late Lam Adeshina, and the 3.6-kilometer Ijokodo Akpete Road, which he also renamed Ambassador Olushola Shano Road. In Ibadan, Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
SMEs operators have been assured of federal government's financial support in view of their contributions to the growth and development of a nation's economy and stimulation of the real sector towards wealth and employment creation. This was revealed by panelists at the one-day workshop on funding Nigeria SMEs held in Ibadan. Fatai Adieloja has the reports.
Beyond its traditional mandate of serving as bankers and government bank, the CBN, through the Bankers Committee's intervention, is aimed at reinvigorating the SMEs for sustainable economic growth.
If it belongs to the micro sector, then there is a provision for you through the micro sector of the economy.
Panelists took turns to speak on must-do for intending loan seekers, requirements and factors militating against easy access to loans.
They need to change their mindset towards taking bank loan. When you take bank loan, you should be ready to pay back.
When you're starting a business, it's better for you to start business with personal savings or money that you got from family members.
What is the take-home lesson for participants?
It puts me in a better position to be a good entrepreneur in Nigeria.
You can just loan money without having business name or plans.
The first phase of the one-day workshop on funding SMEs kicked off in Lagos, Travers, Kano, and Aba, while the second phase, which took place in Ibadan, will be followed by Kaduna and Port Harcourt in that order. In Ibadan, Fatai Adieloja, NTA News.
And that's it for Ibadan. You're still watching Network News on NTA. More reports after this time out. Stay with us.
Let's turn to some security matters now. The Nigeria Police Force has paraded more than 50 notorious criminals operating along the Abuja-Kaduna highway with sophisticated weapons recovered. Doindia reports that this is part of the renewed effort of the Inspector General of Police to rid the area of crime and restore sanity.
I supply this local goal. These kidnapped suspects and prison escapee is one of the notorious criminals who met their Waterloo. The arrest was based on intelligence gathering and surveillance by the Nigerian Police Force under the Operation Puff Other.
But as it shows you, as it tells you a bit about the desperation of the criminal gang, it will also tell you about our determination to continue to rain very hard on them. And I want to reassure Nigerians today that our determination, our commitment to bringing an end to the reign of terror in Nigeria remains irrevocable.
The Abuja-Kaduna highway, which has become a flashpoint of kidnapping, banditry, robbery and other forms of criminality, the Nigeria Police Force says is now safe for travelers.
Abuja-Kaduna Express Road is safe, and we encourage communities that are on this axis to also continue to support us the way they've been doing in the last 3-4 weeks.
The level of cooperation between the natives and Fulanis and the security agencies, it has improved, not like before. That's because we give them assurance that we'll liaise with them, we'll collaborate with them to ensure that not even safeguarding the Abuja-Kaduna road, even cattle rustling, will be checkmated too.
Now we know people who are happy and will move freely without any fear.
The weapons recovered are AK-47 rifles, locally made guns, live cartridges, military uniform, and a rocket launcher, as well as fake currencies. Doing Dia NT News.
Accountability in armed conflict management has made it expedient for the armed forces of Nigeria to constantly review rules of engagement. A committee has now been set up by the Chief of Defense Staff to ensure strict compliance of the armed forces with global standards. Correspondent Naja'atu Tijani reports.
Allegations of human rights